you put on, they actually come with a little adjustment, a little screw or a little slider here, where you can adjust it precisely to your eye distance, because that's a little bit different from person to person. And then it gives you just an amazing feel of the depth and the proportions of what you're looking at. And it has become so good over the past year that now you start and want to reach out to the stuff that you see. You see that something is there, and then you reach out, and of course you touch your desk or whatever it is that is there. So we are now, we're done with this. This is done. What we are working on now is to get your hands into the game as well. So VR features, what we wanted is that it is easy to use and easy to set up. So we didn't want to have multiple plugins that you need to install and get this and get that. No, it's really very simple. All you're going to need for it is the VR headset. Obviously, it works with both the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, so whichever you prefer, it's going to work with both. And all you need is, well, the drivers that come with the hardware, obviously, and then there's one checkbox in the sim. That's all there is, one checkbox, VR, on, that's it. And then you don't actually need to take off your headset to do any settings, because what happens is you put it on and you find yourself in a virtual hangar. And you look around at the airplane that is in the hangar, and you will notice there's a board in the hangar. And what you can do is you can walk up to it, and then you raise your hand controller, and then you go, oh, I want to fly in London, and I want it to be cloudy, and I want it to be this time of day, go. So you don't actually need to leave the immersion to set up your flight. And then you find yourself in the airplane, and then you can use your touch controllers to fly the plane. So no joystick, yoke, or pedals are required, because you have both of your hands, and you actually have both of your hands at the same time, which means you can grab the key with the left hand and the mixture control with the right hand at the same time, which makes starting an airplane much easier. So the tracking of where you are in the game of your head is really, really good. I think it's a little bit better with the HTC Vive that keeps track of you even if you turn around 360 degrees, so you can step out of the aircraft and do your pre-flight, and you can really go like this to look under the wing or look under the belly of the aircraft, and the HTC Vive does a really good job at always tracking your head. You can teleport, which means you're quite limited in the range of motion. You cannot really walk around your aircraft because you're still tethered to your computer. The cable is only a couple of meters long. So what you do is you teleport, you have your controller, you point it somewhere, you click, and then you teleport to this point. And this way you can actually do a walk around of the plane before you get in. All 3D cockpit manipulators are accessible to your hands. And we have a little tablet, we call it the X-Pad. Basically what it is, you're in the game, you're in your cockpit seat, and then you look over to the co-pilot seat, and you will find a little iPad lying there. So with your hand controller, you reach out, you grab the iPad, and on it you can change the settings, access the map, change the airport. So you never need to take off your headset to change anything. So it only needs minor modifications to add magnets. I'm not going to explain this, but as long as the designers use the standard features of X-Plane 3D cockpits, it's going to be compatible with VR. So getting an aircraft to work in virtual reality is going to be a very straightforward, very simple process for the authors. Alright, you can tell I'm very excited about this, but we also hear this a lot. Like, who cares, it's a fad, it's going to go away, VR is only, it's overhyped, it's going to go away. So why do you do that? Why do you waste your time on this? And is within Laminar, whether we work on the mobile version or the desktop version or the professional version for building certified simulators, or now the VR version, everything feeds back to each other. So the new user interface that is so easy to use came from the Explain mobile version, from having on the iPad. 3D sound is really needed in virtual reality, but now that we have it, it's not limited to that. You never need to have a headset or whatever to just experience how awesome the sound in Explain 11 is now. Give you a little example. As part of the pre-flight, in a 172, I turn on the master switch, and then I turn on all the lights, and then of course I walk around the aircraft to see whether all lights are working. And if I do this in Explain 11, as I go out to the wing, not necessarily in VR, just on your regular monitor as well, you go out to the wing, and you want to look whether the strobes are really blinking. And as you walk up to them, you hear them. You hear the strobe generator. You hear the discharge of the capacitor of the strobe generator. As you walk out to the wing, it goes when it's flashing the strobes. And this is how good the sound has become. And we get this not only for VR, but everyone gets that. And of course, VR has much higher requirements for the frame rate, because if your FPS is too low in VR and it doesn't follow your head movement smoothly, you get sick. You really get sick. So getting the performance up, I mean, that's a win for everybody. Since we are working hard to get this up for VR, when you don't have a headset, when you just use your regular monitor, you get the performance improvement as well. So this is why it's really important that we work on this. So I'm actually not going to show you the video here, it's too long. What you need to do is you go back to the main exhibition area and you look for RC simulations, and they do have a setup there that runs Explain 11 with the Oculus Rift in a cockpit. So you step into the cockpit, you put on the headset, you grab your hand controllers, and you are in virtual reality. So don't trust me, what I'm telling you. Just go to RC Simulations, put the thing on, and actually try it yourself. And the video, which I'm not going to show here, you just find on YouTube. If you search for the Explain official channel on YouTube, you'll find it. Alright, so, well, as I already said, major goal is have 60 frames per second under any circumstances, because we're really going to need that for VR. And this is the situation right now. This is what many people complain about. Like, my GPU is bored, my 8-core processor is not really doing very much. It's only giving me 30 FIPS in use time. So we hear that a lot. And the reason why we hear that a lot is a beautiful illustration to explain what's going on, and that is this. This is what's going on. So this is the part that talks to the graphics card. So you have an 8-core processor, or well, actually it's a 10-core or 11-core, whatever, 10-core processor. This guy talks to the graphics card, which is down there. And these guys go. All right, and the thing, how we're going to solve this is we are moving from this stack, the OpenGL stack, over to Vulkan. So many people talk and say, hey, you need to use DirectX 12 because that's the future and OpenGL sucks and forget about it. So what we are doing is Vulkan is very similar in how it works, how it interacts with the GPU as DirectX 12 is. So the basic difference is right now Explain talks to a very thick layer of driver that is not always consistent between the vendors, whether you use NVIDIA or whether you use AMD, and it's not really predictable what is going to be fast and what is going to be slow, and you have only one thread, so you can only use one CPU to talk to it. And basically the way you can think of it, OpenGL versus Vulkan, is see what happens here. Vulkan is a very thin driver. It is very clearly defined what needs to be fast, what can be slow, there's not going to be much difference between the driver stacks for an NVIDIA or an AMD or an Intel card. And it allows us, Vulkan allows us to use multiple threads to talk to the GPU at the same time, and we can make that fast. So that is the next big thing we are working on. Bring X-Plane 11 on the Vulkan driver stack. Of course, now everyone asks, oh God, but what about all my add-ons? Is this still going to work? And we say, OpenGL will work for the rest of the life of X-Plane 11 for sure. So it's very similar to the transition from 32 to 64-bit. Scenery models and aircraft, that's just going to work, no problem with that. Add-ons with custom plugins or custom plugin UI or panels will work by a compatibility layer that we supply. And we are right now already providing the technologies that the third-party developers need. So the people who make add-ons don't need to wait for us to finish Vulkan, because that's not going to happen this year. This is going to take us into 2018 to bring you Vulkan. But we are already supplying the tools to the add-on developers so they can get this stuff ready to be ready when we are. So add-on developers should adopt to the new tech real soon now, and they already can, because as I'm talking, the SDK 3.0 for the add-on makers is already out. You can go to developer.xplane.com today and download it. Yeah, the latest word editor, actually that slide is old because we are already on version 1.7. So new word editor 1.7 is available for testing. The templates for the sound engine for Fmod to get this really great 3D sounds in X-Plane, that is available. Add-on makers can start working on that today. The new Blender exporter 3.4 is also available. The new 3ds exporter for people who build their models in 3ds. I think it's in testing right now, so you can get it. I don't know if it's completely stable, but it is available. You can test it, and the new plugin API XPLM 3.0 that I was talking about to get everything ready for Vulkan and be ready for the new technology, add-on makers can start doing that today. It's available like right now. All right, so well, you're asking, so when do I get all this cool new stuff? Important thing to say, everything that I showed or we showed today, everything you saw today, you get with X-Plane 11 as a package for free. So nothing we showed today was like an add-on that you actually need to buy. So everything that was on my slides will be available as part of X-Plane 11. So tons of new airports with X-Plane 11.05 out now already. X-Plane 11.10 with the features that we showed, all the landmarks, the G1000, the system changes, and vastly improved speed, especially on NVIDIA graphics cards. We still need to work with AMD. That's not as fast as it could be, so we're working really hard on that. But if you have an NVIDIA graphics card with 11.10, you're going to see a definite increase in FPS, in frames per second. And as I said, the add-on makers already have it, and you are going to have it next week. SDK 3.0 available now. If you are an add-on maker, grab it and start using it. And the virtual reality version, again, you can get your hands on it and try it, what it looks like at RC simulations in their cockpit, and hopefully on your own computer at home this winter. And in the future, so this is still going to work on OpenGL, and the cool stuff with all the guys digging the hole at the same time, this is something we are looking at for 2018.
Could you mention also Apple's metal?
Oh yeah, well, same thing. So whether you so Vulkan works on Windows and Linux. So Vulkan works on the PC side, and Apple has their own thing that is very similar to it. It's called Metal, or by now they have a version that's already Metal 2. But that is definitely next on the list. All right. Any questions? We still got about 6 minutes for questions. It's like we flattened everybody. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, I just had a question about the night lighting for X-Plane 11.
Yeah.
Is there any chance you could increase the range of the lighting?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We get this a lot. So very good question. Well, what he is talking about, he is flying an airliner up at 35,000 feet, and he can see where the light stops when he looks out in the distance. Yeah. This is something we cannot really do right now because it would have too much impact on the frames. If we expanded it too much, you would see too much of a decrease in frames per second. But we are positive that we can do it in Vulkan. Yeah, without hurting the frames too much.
The lighting is tied directly in with the autogen. So to increase the lighting distance, you've got to increase the autogen, and that brings the performance.
Yeah, and to pump all these buildings out, you need all 8 guys on the whole, right? All right.
I'm live streaming. I've got a question. Please ask if WED will be able to manipulate mesh elevations.
No, it's not in Word Editor. I think we right now don't have a good tool for that. No. I know we get this question quite a lot. Problem is, I'm not a scenery developer, so I can't really answer that. But we are aware of the problem for sure, but we don't have a good short-term solution yet. All right.
In terms of dual controllers,
yeah,
that's one of the things I've certainly been having an issue with, and I know other people have as well, according to the forum, is actually getting, say, setting up a yoke and throttles to one aircraft,
yeah,
and say a joystick.
Oh, good, perfect question, because we totally solved that in X-Plane 11.10. So in the new version, you have I didn't even mention that because yeah, I only fly propeller aircraft, so I never really switch. But it's an excellent question. With X-Plane 11.10, you can make not only the joystick controllers, but also the keyboard setup per aircraft or per category. You can say I want to fly helicopters with this joystick and I want to fly airliners with this yoke, or you can do it on a per aircraft level. Yes. All right.
Yeah, are there any plans to improve the contrail colours in X-Plane?
Oh, you're talking about air traffic control?
No, the contrails, the vapor trails. Because at the moment,
oh, contrail. Oh, yeah. So particle system, yeah. I don't know what the state of it is right now, whether it is going to be in 11.10 or it's going to be in 11.20. But yeah, we are re-implementing the contrails based on the new particle system that is already available for third-party authors, I think. But yeah, we are bringing the contrails to that system, and that should improve the color and the interaction with the light. For sure.
We've seen some screenshots that our developers working on of engine fires, things like this. It's phenomenal, really, with the new system.
Will the VR work with the Oculus Rift DK2? Does it just have control?
Whoa, that is a good question, and I don't really know because we don't talk to the Oculus driver. We talk to a system that is called OpenVR, and OpenVR supports the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift and the various hand controllers. So it's really a question whether the current Oculus runtime, it's 1.13 or 1.14 now, whether that still supports the DK2, and I don't know that. I don't know.
Can you still use your joysticks while using VR?
Oh, excellent question. Yes, you can. In fact, you can mix. So you can totally have a setup where you have one hand on your physical yoke or joystick, and you still have the touch controller in the other hand. So you can totally have a setup where you're flying your physical yoke, and with the other hand you're tuning the radios. Yes, you can do both at the same time.
I have a little story about that I think if you haven't tried VR, or maybe you don't think you want to try it, you really should try it, because I tried it and I was sitting in the Cessna and I said, well, I think I'll go and take a look at some of the other aircraft. Laminar now has touch control for the MD-83. We're working to bring touch control to all the planes, but the MD-83 is my favorite airplane, really. So I went to the MD-83 and I'm sitting in the cockpit and I've got two hand controllers and I'm switching the lights on and starting the engines, doing all these wonderful things. Then I realized, well, I've got a yoke here sitting in front of me, a physical yoke, so I don't really need my second hand controller. So I took it and I set it on the seat next to me. And of course, when I let it go on the seat, it fell right to the floor. And I hear it bang. But that's how immersed you can become. And when you're sitting in the cockpit of an airline, and you're sitting there, everything is full scale, and you're looking around, it's just an incredible experience.
That's a perfect example. I like that. All right, I think we got to wrap it up because the next guys are.
One more question.
One more question.
Some other questions. A lot of people asking about seasons. Why isn't seasons a priority?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I was afraid it was going to come up. All right, so the 10,000 foot overview is that X-Plane 11 ships on, I think, 10 or 11 DVDs by now, and we don't want to quadruple the size and make you install 40 DVDs for 4 seasons. So what we are looking at is dynamically adding winter, like snow and ice, or fall, that the changing colors of the trees via shaders, like on the GPU, generate the different appearance of trees and grass on the GPU at runtime. We want to do that. We've been wanting to do that for quite some time because we don't want to ship 4 times or 5 times the textures. It's not going to be soon because we really need to get our stack, our technology in order. But I think this is something that becomes, just like I said, with the increased drawing distance, this is something that can actually be worked on seriously once we got the Vulkan stack in place. Yeah.
The advantage to doing that with a shader is that, I mean, imagine it's snowing. The snow can gradually cover the ground, which you aren't going to be able to do with textures.
Exactly. Yeah. So you cannot really build up a layer of snow over time with textures. And this is why we want to do it right. And over wanting to do it right for the past, I don't know, 10 years or so.